Hi, I'm Cliff Fletcher, and today I'm up front on OTR.
Off the Record with Michael Landsberg, brought to you by the Keg Steakhouse and Bar. For great steaks, good friends. See you tonight.
There's 35 days to the trade deadline.
So the worst loss of the year for the Maple Leafs. Scores!
Within 2 weeks, we should be prepared to philosophically at least know what direction we have chosen to go in.
So let's find out. It's been 2 weeks and 3 days to be exact. Up front, Trader Cliff. So, Cliff, do you know what direction you're going?
Well, Michael, I've had a chance to talk to everybody internally and to watch 7 games firsthand. I sort of have a feel for what we would like to try to accomplish over the next few weeks, and after that, the next few months. Whether or not we're going to be able to do everything we'd like to do is another question, but at least we'll get the process underway.
So as weird as it sounds, Cliff, does the result on the ice have any bearing at all on your plan, whether it's an 8-0 loss at home to Florida or a 4-2 win on the road in Montreal? Does it make any difference?
Well, I think we're very clear in saying, we're a club that is one of those trying hard to compete for a playoff spot, but we want to bring this team up to the level where it's competing with the top teams in the league, so that to bring it up the ladder a few rungs. And so really the results of individual games haven't got that much effect on the plan you're trying to put in place.
John Ferguson was very loyal and dependent on the people around him. Now that you've had time to review the staff, as you said you would, will there be changes made?
Oh, there's some very good people here, Michael, and I feel quite comfortable working with them all. As far as changes go, if there were going to be any, that would be for whoever comes in here on a full-time basis in the future.
Okay, so let's talk specifically with dealing with players at the trade deadline. I want to know what you're allowed to do. Can you go to a player like a Matt Sundin, but not necessarily Sundin, and say to him, if you accept a trade, I will offer you a contract on July 1st. Can you say that?
No, you can't.
So you can't discuss any futures at all?
Because first of all, once you trade a player, then that player belongs to the other team and is not a free agent until July 1st. So you can't make any pre-condition promises of signing him when the year expires with the club he's going to, because that's totally contrary to the rules and bylaws and regulations of the National Hockey League.
Let me talk to you about the power that you have. Would you, Cliff Fletcher, say to a guy who has a no-trade clause, and I'm not talking about anyone specific, accept a trade or you'll be in the press box or be sent to the minors? Would you use that power?
That hasn't been my style of operating a club the 25 years I was in the league as a general manager prior to just coming here, and that would not be my style operating now.
So how do you convince a guy? What cards do you have to play to go to any of your many individuals who have no trade clauses? What can you say to them to convince them to go?
Well, first of all, it has to be the type of situation where there appears to be a real great opportunity to have a good shot at the Stanley Cup. So on that basis, a player who's playing on a struggling team may, in the end, welcome that type of opportunity.
Would you agree that giving guys, a half dozen players or so on the same team, a no-trade clause is a mistake?
Well, I'm not going to second-guess what's been done here, because it's also done on a lot of other teams in the league, on just about all the other teams. From my calculations, there's well over 100 players in the National Hockey League who are playing with no-trade clauses.
So let me ask you this. In general, as you're talking on the phones, are you getting a lot of interest in Toronto Maple Leafs right now?
Well, I think we're getting the same amount of interest as all 29 other franchises are. There are so many teams that are in a position to compete right now that there's an overwhelming majority of the teams in the league who would like to get better. So the dialogue has started, not necessarily of the very serious nature as yet. There's a lot of feeling out going on, and as we get a little closer to the deadline, then you can expect to see things start to happen.
Final question. I know that you've spoken with Matt Sundin, and you said you hadn't spoken with anyone else about waiving the no trade. At this point, have you talked to any of your other players?
No.
That's what we were looking to hear. Thanks for doing this. You'll return later on for next question. We've got a great panel that's coming up next.